It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, getting boned, getting high, getting shook. I tell you, folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. Ladies, either do one night stands. Try being a rock and roll man. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome to another installment of the 2005 NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series season here from Kentucky for race number 1536 of the season as we get set to get underway under the lights for some Sunday night action on this flat mile and a half with your starting lineup coming up in just a moment. We take you to the track side for tonight's starting lineup. It'll be Kurt Busch starting off right where he started last week at Pocono. He will be on pole with his teammate Jamie McMurray to his outside, making it the 1-2 from last week, starting first and second here tonight. Jeff Gordon in the 24 will be in third place, with Kyle Busch in the 19 starting in fourth to the outside of him. Fifth place is going to be Kevin Harvick in the 29, with sixth going to John Wood in the 6. And how about this qualifying run from Christian Elder in the 0? He starts 7th tonight for Haas C&C, with Ricky Hendrick starting in 8th place. 9th place is Matt Kenseth in the 17, and 10th, Robbie Gordon in the 31. 11th is going to be Tony Stewart in the 20, and 12th will be Chad Little in the 28 car. 13th place will be Dale Jarrett in the 88, and 14th, Robert Presley in the 07 for McGlynn, going to be on the outside lane. 15th is going to be Ryan Newman, and 16th, Terry Labonte in the 44. 17th place, your points leader, Casey Kane, starting side by side with Mike Bliss in the 81. 19th is going to be Carl Edwards, and 20th to Greg Biffle. 21st place, first outside of the top 20, will be Dave Blaney in the 77, and 22nd will be Bobby Labonte in the 18. 23rd goes to Sterling Marlin, and 24th, Kenny Wallace. 25th place will be Todd Bodine in the 26, and 26th place will go to Jeremy Mayfield in the 48. 27th, Jeff Burton, and 28th, Don Thompson Jr. 29th place will be Mike Skinner, starting side by side with his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car in 30th. 31st goes to Ron Hornaday Jr., and 32nd, Casey Atwood on the outside. David Green will be starting in 31st place, with Brian Vickers to his outside in 34th. 35th place, David Rudiman. 36th, Scott Wimmer. 37th will be Ricky Rudd, and 38th, Scott Riggs. 39th, John Andretti. 40th, Mark Martin, and the field rounded out in the final row by Jeff Foltz in the 32, and Johnny Sauter blew an engine in qualifying. He will be starting last in 42nd place. We take you trackside here from Kentucky for the Sirius Satellite Radio 400 as you get set to hear the most famous words in motorsports and the command to fire all 42 engines here tonight.
Drivers, start your engines!
Legends!
Field of V8's roars to life here from Kentucky. A couple of storylines to go over into tonight's race. Joe Gibbs has continued to stay strong, and Tony Stewart continues to pick up ground in the championship battle with Casey Kane in the 38. We mentioned him, still the points leader entering tonight's race. He's got 59 points on that 20 car. Kevin Harvick sits third in the standings. Ricky Hendrick is fourth, and Kurt Busch closed in a lot with that win at last week's race. He sits fifth in the standings. The top five didn't change in between Pocono and the race before it, but still, the points got a lot closer with pretty much the entire top five in the standings finishing inverse of where they are in the standings. Kurt Busch looking to build on that momentum tonight. He starts on pole and looking to continue carrying that speed in the mid-season point of this season and continue to challenge for the championship as this season carries on and build upon that momentum. He starts side by side with his teammate Jamie McMurray in the 40. Both on the front row here tonight, Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch right behind them. Pace car peels off. 81 laps here from Kentucky for the Sirius Satellite Radio 400, and we are underway. Through 3 and 4 for the first time here tonight. Kurt Busch clear in the lead off of the pole. McMurray slots into second and Gordon stays third. Kevin Harvick will jump up into the fourth position as the field is scuffling hard in the mid-pack with a lot of 3 wide. Unsurprising to see at Kentucky. We'll see if they keep it clean through here in the mid-pack. Casey Kane picking up a lot of spots early. Moves into the top 15 and looking for more. Should be around the 12th position. 3 wide up there with Busch and Elder. Tony Stewart on the bottom 3 wide. Jeff Gordon moves past McMurray for second place. Kevin Harvick now dives low to try to fight him for P2, as Kurt Busch is going to love this in his mirror. Pulling away in the race lead, still 3 wide back there. Elder cleared both Hendrick and Stewart on the outside, and he has himself a top 5 running position. And the caution flag is out. Robert Presley and Skinner wrecked hard. We are under caution early, looking like a bit of damage on the 18 car. Greg Biffle with some damage on the left side as well. Early crash and a big bunch of damage there for Robert Presley. As, ooh, yeah. Looking like Biffle tried to cut it in front of Skinner, and Skinner filled that gap pretty quickly, and immediately a big wreck here. Oh, and they wrecked again, trying to get around the crash. Looking like Skinner unable to save that race car. Yeah, he got tagged by the 18 of Bobby Labonte. And that sends him back down into traffic. 25 of Vickers involved. Presley takes a big hit there. A lot of front end damage on that race car. Labonte involved pretty heavily. Greg Biffle as well. And we are under caution. A couple of drivers going to elect to pit. Mostly just the drivers who were involved in that accident. Skinner and Vickers on pit road. Labonte, Biffle, Terry Labonte as well. Everybody with clean race cars stays on the racetrack. We'll take you to intermission after the quick first yellow. Under caution here on lap number 4. Kurt Busch, your race leader. Back from intermission here at Kentucky. It is going to be, as we mentioned, Kurt Busch up front in the race lead after just a few laps completed. Jeff Gordon will be restarting in second place. Kevin Harvick will be in third in the 29. Jamie McMurray in fourth, and Christian Elder in the top 5 in the Haas Zero car. Looking through the rest of the top 10, Tony Stewart, Ricky Hendrick, Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, and John Wood, your top 10, as we get set to go here from Kentucky after the early crash. 07 car of Robert Presley, the only DNF from that accident as of right now, but we'll see if anyone fails to meet minimum speed. Off of turn 4, pace car in, and we are back green here from Kentucky. Solid restart from Jeff Gordon in second place, keeps Kurt Busch right within striking distance. No jump out of the 01. Is going to be able to put the early buffer to the 24, but he'll have a bit of a run off of turn 2. Down the back stretch, as Tony Stewart is on the outside lane. Ricky Hendrick gets past him and looking for more on Elder as they head into turn number 3. Casey Kane stuck on the outside up there. Rounding turn 4, field staying under wraps right now. Everybody has it under control. Kurt Busch clear in the race lead. Jeff Gordon just got back past Harvick on the outside into turn 1 to hold on to P2. Jamie McMurray going around the outside on the 29 car, and he's going to retake third place. We'll see for how long, as Harvick tried to dive it underneath him there, but could not quite get underneath that 40 Dodge. Down the front stretch, Kurt Busch with Gordon in his tire tracks, and still holding on to the lead as of right now. Almost 3 wide for the 4th spot, as Matt Kenseth is trying to make a pass on Kevin Harvick for that position, and does so. It's a race of momentum, this. You can see drivers dropping back. Casey Kane, who had a lot of forward momentum on the first short run, gained a ton of positions early on the inner line, drops all the way down to 15th after the restart, struggling to pick up some positions and get back into a rhythm. Gordon's still trying to close on Kurt Busch for this race lead. Running the outer line there off of turn number 4. Here's Kenseth for the 3rd position, right behind Jeff Gordon, who stays in front of those two. McMurray all the way up top, trying to find some grip up there, but has to get out of the throttle, and Matt Kenseth gets past him for P3. Looking like Skinner is going to be taken out of this race. After the accident, they're going to have him pull off of the racetrack. Here's Kenseth for P2 as they head down the front stretch. A big dive bomb by the 17 on the inside. Kenseth recently announced, after a long contract debate with Jack Roush, is going to be returning to that 17 team next season. So Roush has got their entire lineup decided. Although a lot of question marks in the coming weeks surrounding Mark Martin, who now running out of the 06 shop. That entry fielded part-time by Roush. Now with John Wood on a Cup contract for next year, Kenseth re-signed, as well as Carl Edwards. It's going to be a big question to see what the plan is with Mark Martin for next season and who might end up getting loaned out to another team, because Roush is not going to be able to have the garage space for all of those drivers all at once. So it'll be interesting to find out who goes where within that organization going into the 2006 season, and who Roush might end up partnering with, or if Mark Martin is even going to be within the Roush organization next year at all. Kurt Busch led every lap so far here from Kentucky. He's led 14 straight to open this race. Matt Kenseth closing from second place right now. but nobody's been able to surmount that 01 car as of right now. It'll be 15 laps completed at the line this time by for Kurt Busch in the 01. Tony Stewart in the 20 has looked pretty strong in this run so far. He's moved up into third ahead of Jeff Gordon in the 24, who is looking to challenge back for the third spot on the front stretch here. Going to have a peak towards turn 1, but will not make any sort of move as of yet. Kyle Busch still in the top 5 right now. Looking back at our points leader, Casey Kane is kind of stagnated around that 15th spot. He runs exactly 15th right now. Still working on Dave Blaney for 14th and has now got that move made ahead of the 77. Moves up a position, really needs to pick up some spots right now with his championship contenders running up front. Here's 3 wide. Christian Elder, Carl Edwards, and the 28 of Chad Little on the bottom down there. Fighting for position up front for the final spot outside of the top 10. Actually, no, that is the 10th spot. Carl Edwards in the 97 makes that move stick and is into P10. Little into 11th. Battle for second place. Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart are side by side for that spot. Kenseth giving some draft help to the 20 on the outside. Gordon going to stick strong on the bottom, though. Trying to fight with Stewart. Tony sticks it in the gas, though, and retains the second spot. Gordon's still fighting with Kenseth for third place right now, and this is bringing the whole rest of this group into this mix. Kyle Busch, Hendrick, and Harvick now join the pack up front. Kurt Busch has pulled a gap to second place. Stewart now. It is a .77 lead over the 20 in first for Kurt Busch. Harvick dives low now for third. Jeff Gordon amidst this battle here. He goes to the outside as Harvick goes low. Trying to hold strong on the outer line. Had to get way out of the throttle up there, though, and Harvick clears. Gordon overdrove that corner just a bit. Here's Ricky Hendrick for fourth. Problem for Kevin Harvick, the 29 car, is going to have a fuel system issue, they're saying over the radio. Yes, it is. It is an issue for Harvick, and the 29's got the hand out the window. He is going to come into the pit lane here. Tough break for Kevin Harvick. He pulls into the pits from the top 5. And that is going to drop him out of contention for the moment. We'll see if he can mount a comeback with the unscheduled pit stop, and repair is going to go onto that 29 car. We'll see if they even stay in the race. Up front, Kurt Busch pulling away from Tony Stewart. Got over a second on the 20 car now. Harvick is into his pit box. They will get to work on repairs on that car. Ricky Hendrick moves up into the third position. Gordon fourth. Matt Kenseth rounds out the top 5 right now, though Kyle Busch going to battle him for that 5th spot. Side by side by him and Kenseth down the backstretch. Big run out of the 17 on the outside, and he holds him off for that position. John Wood and Carl Edwards fighting for 7th down the front stretch as Edwards goes to the outside. Casey Kane slowly continuing his march up the order. He looks to rejoin the top 10. Ahead of Newman in the 12, and does so off a turn 2. Harvick just now, actually, no, excuse me, that is not Harvick leaving his pit box. That is Greg Biffle in the 16 into the pits. Interesting pit stop strategy for him as Biffle is away. Harvick is still in his pit box, I believe. Yes, he is. So Harvick has fallen a few laps down now. Will be 3, even 4, as Kurt Busch is coming around across the line here. Got still around a second between Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch, who is absolutely dominating this thing early. has led every single lap of this race up to this point. Tony Stewart second, Hendrick in the third spot with Gordon fourth, and Kenseth fifth, rounds out the top five. Still a battle of Fords here for the seventh spot. Carl Edwards has been putting John Wood to work for the last few laps and is trying to get around that 6 car now. Side by side as they leave turn 4. And it's Casey Kane in that mix now. With the 6 of Wood on the outside, he's looking for the 8th position on the 6 car. Still door to door as Wood has the run off of turn 2. But Kane is going to dive it into turn 3. Might have even made a bit of contact. Casey getting the elbows out, and he is passed for the 8th spot. Kane looking pretty quick on the longer run here. Battle for second. Ricky Hendrick and Tony Stewart fighting away for that spot. Tell you, that outside line's looked pretty strong coming off of turn 2 especially. Hendrick might try his own dive bomb move here, and does, although keeps it off of the 20 of Tony Stewart, just harder on the brakes there. And off of turn 4, he's going to have the run off the corner, and Ricky Hendrick moves up into the second position. A second and a half to second place now is the gap between Kurt Busch and second place, which is now Ricky Hendrick. Nearing 30 laps completed. Waiting to see when the pit window opens up here at Kentucky. Kevin Harvick is still in the pits. This is pretty much going to be the end of his race. Likely to get if he's going to get back on the track at all, it'll be to log laps. And hope that some people DNF in this race to give him a couple extra points, but tough break for one of the championship leaders. Again, Harvick entered this race third in points, behind Tony Stewart and Casey Kane, as we are going to have pit stops here on lap 29. Coming to lap 30, Kurt Busch leads the first group into the pit lane, although a couple of earlier pitters, that is Jamie McMurray and Christian Elder, in the pit lane as well. Jeff Gordon stays out to lead a lap. First lap not led by Kurt Busch tonight. And he's going to have his window hand out the window now and into the pits along with Kyle Busch in the 19, Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, John Wood, and others into the pits here. And looking like nobody else going to stay out on the racetrack. Man, tell you, the gap between Ricky Hendrick and Kurt Busch absolutely vanished on that pit stop. Not a great stop out of the 01 of Kurt Busch, who leaves the pit lane now. And the margin between him and Ricky Hendrick is erased on the pit exit. Rounding turn 4, we'll see where Kurt comes out in relative distance to the rest of these guys. And coming through turns 1 and 2, Jeff Gordon rejoining the racetrack with Kyle Busch behind him. Casey Kane jumped up a bunch of positions there, as did Jeff Burton, who is now up and into this mix. He exits behind teammate Carl Edwards, and Edwards going to give him the bottom on the colder tires. Kane rejoins the racetrack in the top 5. He runs in 5th place. Just a spot or two behind Tony Stewart, who fights Kyle Busch for the 4th position. Actually, that is going to be... Yes, it is P4. So no Casey Kane in 6th place, excuse me. Battle for the lead here. Ricky Hendrick down low on Kurt Busch. Busch trying to drive it off on exit, but doesn't have the grip. Side by side, and Ricky Hendrick has taken the race lead here. Taking lap number 33. 5 cars got first. And tell you what, not sure if it was a bad pit stop by Kurt Busch, and also combined with a great pit stop by Ricky Hendrick. Still a second between Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch. So a combination of the 5-car and their crew putting together a fantastic pit stop, and Kurt Busch and company not so much. Battle for the lead still continuing between Busch and Hendrick as they fight for first. Couple of fast hot rods up front right now. Hendrick holds him off for the time being. Hendrick still holding off Kurt Busch for the time being. Top 10 pretty much all solidified in position. John Wood's got the very last top 10 spot ahead of Robbie Gordon right now. A battle for 7th now, as Kane, who had fallen backwards a little bit, now fights with fellow Ford Jeff Burton for the 7th spot. Burton tried to run way up high, couldn't find the grip up there. Kane gets back past him into 7th. Jamie McMurray running into 6th position. Ricky Hendrick putting a gap to Kurt Busch now for this lead. A little bit of a buffer between these two leaders. Ricky Hendrick, we've mentioned it several times over the last couple weeks. Nobody hungrier to get back in victory lane than that 5 team, and they have been closer and closer every single week. Today could be their day. We will find out. Kurt Busch with a little bit of a run there on Hendrick. Excuse me. As they head down the backstretch, but couldn't quite mount a move, and Hendrick runs away from him in 3 and 4 a little bit again. Stewart and Gordon have been slowly closing in from 3rd and 4th place. Kyle Busch still lingers a bit of a ways back in 5th. McMurray in 6th, 7th Kane. 8th place is a battle between Burton and Edwards in 8th and 9th, and John Wood still in the 10th spot, sits ahead of Sterling Marlin in the 22 as of right now. Just past halfway here from Kentucky, if you're just joining us, Ricky Hendrick still leading this race. Him and Kurt Busch, the cars to beat right now. Down the back stretch, Kurt Busch has got a run on the 5. He's going to look low towards turn 3. led all of that opening run from green flag to pit stop. And he's got the lead back now, ahead of Hendrick. Stewart and Gordon are still fighting for the third spot as they look to trade that position once again. And they will as Gordon gets past the 20. Kurt Busch, the class of the field here today, has led the majority of this race, and now that he's back past Hendrick again, it has put a gap to the 5. Although Hendrick with a little bit of a run down the back. Not letting him get away easy, but both the 24... I mean, not the 20 that lap, but Jeff Gordon faster than both of these leaders right now by a couple of tenths of a second that last lap. Jeff Gordon puts himself straight back into this mix for the race lead. Stewart was a little faster than the leaders as well, but nowhere near as quick as Gordon was the last time by. Hendrick got checked up quite a bit, and Gordon did not. Coming off of turn 4, the 24 is going to dive low on his teammate and look for P2. Down on the inside, and he is going to have second place, and now sets his sights for more. What a run over these last couple laps by Jeff Gordon. He looks low for the race lead as they head down the backstretch. Into turn 3, side by side with Busch on the outside. Kurt trying to power away from him, but had to get out of the throttle, and Jeff Gordon is going to take the race lead today. Second time he's been up front. Only other lap lead he had was when he was in front staying out on the pit cycle. Up front under green now. The 24's got the race lead and trying to run away from Busch and Hendrick after taking that top spot, but Busch not letting him get away easy, keeping the gap to be about a car length down the backstretch that time. Still nose to tail as they round turn 4. Gordon pulling away a tiny little bit. Stewart lingering in 4th. It's just these guys for this race win right now, but still a lot of this race left. Kyle Busch a little over a second and a half behind 4th place Tony Stewart. He sits in 5th place. Casey Kane has retaken 6th now. A good run by the championship leader so far today. Holding on to that race lead right now. Pulls away a little bit off of turn 2 ahead of Kurt Busch, and running away with the lead down the backstretch that time. Trying to put the gap to these fast cars. Any one of these guys has enough speed to win this thing, so any little margin would count tremendously for the 24 team up front right now. Will be 30 laps to go at the line for Jeff Gordon in the race lead. At the stripe, 30 laps remaining here from Kentucky. This race continues to wind down. A little while since Jeff Gordon was back to victory lane in a points race. Was last season, has yet to win a race this year. His last win coming in 2004 was the final race of that season, in which he won that California finale. 16 of Biffle, again pitting short, but with Less than 30 to go. Should have plenty to make the end of this race. He was one of the only ones who pit that short earlier in this race. Battle for second. Hendrick with a huge run off of turn 4 on Kurt Busch, and he is going to move into second place. It's a Hendrick 1-2 now as the 5 car moves into P2. There you see Biffle rejoining the racetrack. Kurt Busch not giving up easy. He's going to dive back down underneath Ricky Hendrick. Couple of aggressive drivers for this second spot. Busch on the bottom, Hendrick up top, and Kurt Busch has retaken second place. Gordon loving this in his mirror as he pulls away that little bit more. Off of turn number 4, Jeff Gordon still up front, trying to hold the margin to Kurt Busch, who was a little bit faster than him that last time through. Still just these 4 under a blanket. For the lead, though, Tony Stewart dropping off just a little bit, but that margin has been about the same it has been for the last 15 or so laps. All of these 3 leaders super close for that top spot. Hendrick right on the back bumper of Kurt Busch off of turn 2. Kurt got a little squirrely there, it looked like. Hendrick stays in line. Doesn't try to make the pass. But now to the inside, off of turn 4, left him in the dust. What a run by Hendrick down the front stretch. He's going to go 2 for 1 as he looks on the bottom of his teammate Jeff Gordon for the lead. Through turns 1 and 2, Hendrick on the bottom, Gordon up top trying to get the run down the backstretch, still side by side by these 2 teammates. Into turn 3, Hendrick under brakes, down on the bottom, and he is going to retake the race lead here from Kentucky. Kurt Busch now looks for second on Gordon, who's still reeling from that pass. Tony Stewart looks to maybe take it 3 wide. Sticks behind the 0-1. It'll be him and Gordon off of turn 2 for third. Kurt Busch clear for second place. We've got pit stops now. Jeff Burton into the pit lane, and looking like Hendrick and Busch are going to come in this time. All 4 of the leaders are in all at once. Hendrick leads the top 4 into the pit lane. Casey Kane will stay out, and he will get a lap-led bonus point. Important for the championship there. And race leader Ricky Hendrick into his pit box here on lap number 60 of this race. Just over 20 laps to go. And Hendrick is away. 4 tires and fuel on the 5. Jeff Gordon gets away from his box as well. And Hendrick with another fabulous pit stop, left all of them in the dust. Once again, the 5 crew triumphs here from Kentucky. They brought their A game here tonight, and he is way gone in the race lead. Kurt Busch will retain second. Tony Stewart jumped Jeff Gordon for third place. And as they round turn number 4, Hendrick has a big, big margin on what will be second place, Kurt Busch in the 0-1. Kane and Kyle Busch leaving their pit stops as well. Should be around the edge of the top 5. Kyle Busch looking to merge in 5th and will. Kane is going to drop down to 7th as Burton with the short pit will get past him. And have a look at this margin at the line. Hendrick by a second and 3/4 over second place Kurt Busch as him and Tony Stewart duel for position off of turn 2. 20 laps to go here from Kentucky. And Ricky Hendrick now in control of this race, with Stewart looking to try to run him down late in the running. Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon dueling for third in 3 and 4, as Busch will get back past the 24 now. Jeff Burton not too far off this mix. He's moved up into the top 5 thanks to the early pit call by the 99 team. Good run for him tonight. Kyle Busch into 6th place, McMurray 7th. Kane has dropped to 8th, but not too terribly far off these guys, and that 38 has looked a lot better on the longer runs, so we'll see if he can pick up some spots. Carl Edwards runs 9th, and Robbie Gordon has moved into the 10th position as Wood has dropped back a handful of positions. So it's a top 10 run for the 31 car. Gordon fighting with Stewart for P2 as they round turn 4. Hendrick has caught up to some lap traffic in the form of Dale Jarrett in the 88, running in the 39th position. Jarrett going to check up off of turn number 2 and give the bottom to the 5. As Jarrett drops her lap down, and Hendrick will get past him. Busch looking to the inside on Stewart for the 3rd position as they head towards turn 1. Might try to dive it underneath Gordon, and does. Gordon forced to go way, way up the racetrack, and that opens the door for Stewart to go underneath him. Gap is a little over 2 seconds by Ricky Hendrick up front. He'll have 15 laps left at the line. Here from Kentucky, Busch into 2nd. Fastest lap of the race by Busch that last time by. He ran a 7.91. 3rd fastest lap on the racetrack today. And here's Tony Stewart on the bottom now to trade with him for 2nd place. These guys are going at it for 2nd. That opens the door for Jeff Burton to catch up to all of them and open the door for him to pick up some spots. He sits right behind Jeff Gordon, who now goes low on Kurt Busch towards turn 1. Tony Stewart a little bit faster than Ricky Hendrick that last lap. These guys have been playing musical chairs for the 2nd position. Still a 2-second lead for Ricky Hendrick. Here's Jeff Burton to try to pass both Busch and Gordon in one go. Down on the bottom. Gordon up the racetrack. Checked up a little tiny bit. Burton will have 3rd place at the line and will clear the 24 into turn 1. Still just over 2 seconds for the race lead. Stewart in 2nd, Gordon in 3rd. Battle for 4th rages on as Burton and Kurt Busch fight for that position. Casey Kane into 6th and closing quickly. Probably the fastest long run car on the racetrack as he is running down these guys for a potential top 5. Hendrick getting past some more lap traffic here. Stewart catching up to the 88 of Dale Jarrett. Gonna love the draft off of his car. Hendrick gets past Foltz, the 38th place car, and now trying to fight the damaged 44 of Terry Labonte. So I believe that 44 is damaged at least a little bit. Yes, it is. And Hendrick gets around him. Couple of teammates there. Unsurprising that it was as easy as it was. 30.117 for Stewart that last time, and a 1 flat by Hendrick in the lead. Still 2.08, the gap between the leaders. McMurray and Kane fighting for 6th. Kyle Busch, who dropped a little bit of a ways back on the pit stops, and over this run in 8th, not too far behind. 10 coming to 9 laps to go. It is 9 at the line for Hendrick, still up front. You wonder if his bad luck is going to strike again, or if he can bring it home this time. Stewart trying to get around the lap car. Jarrett has put a gap to 3rd place Kurt Busch. McMurray with a huge send on Jeff Burton, and he is into the top 5. Casey Kane looking to go to the bottom on the 99 car as well. And he will move into the 6th position, just about at the line. Burton still hanging strong on that outer line as they continue to fight for 6th. Kyle Busch gets pulled up into this battle as well. He will follow Kane through on the bottom. Lappers side by side in front of Stewart, who is running some of his best laps of the race right now, especially given this point in the race. 1.5 the gap between Hendrick and Stewart, but Stewart got 2 lap cars in between him and the 5, including one of Ricky Hendrick's teammates, Terry Labonte. But Stewart is not going to let him have any sort of chance to block him out as he dives it underneath the 44. Got past 1. Fultz still in front of the 20 of Stewart, who ran another 0.9 to bring the gap down to 1.39 seconds. And he is immediately past Fultz. One more lap car, a bit of a ways up front, is Greg Biffle in the 16 with a bit of damage. Tony Stewart clear the 32. It is just these two now with 5 laps to go and only 0.96 between the 2 leaders. Can Ricky Hendrick hold on to this race win? Had a far better corner than Stewart through 1 and 2 that last time, a couple of mile-an-hour quicker. Jeff Gordon trying to get around Dale Jarrett, the lap car, off of turn 4. Casey Kane still in the fight for the top 5 with McMurray and Kyle Busch. 3.41 versus 3.78. A little tiny bit faster by Hendrick. Sets the gap to a 2nd. About even on entry speed into turn 3 that last time by the 20 and the 5. It's going to have to be a Herculean effort for Tony Stewart if he wants to win this race, who is running out of time to catch Ricky Hendrick. Just one more lap car running a couple tenths of a second a lap slower than Hendrick up in front. The 16 of Greg Biffle, who is going to begin giving the 5 of Hendrick a bit of draft. A little bit faster was Stewart the last time through. Stewart going to be a tad quicker on corner exit. He sacrificed the entry speed to be a little quicker. 2.57, 2.02. 8.7 the gap with 2 laps to go. He's going to have to give it everything if he wants to win this race. Got a little checked up off of 2. Hendrick's got the 16 of Biffle up front. And that 5 can cruise now. Through 3 and 4, and coming to the last lap, the white flag here from Kentucky waving for Ricky Hendrick, who is going to lap Greg Biffle here. Biffle giving him all the room on the bottom. Critics always said after that Bristol win and the time that passed since then, if the 5 team could ever win a race again. They wondered if he would ever bring it back to victory lane or if Lady Luck would have her way with him for the rest of time. But the answer is gonna be no. Finally, for the first time since 2002, 3 years have passed. Ricky Hendrick is finally back in NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series victory lane. And it was a long time coming for the 5 team who brings it to the checkered flag. He wins it here at Kentucky, his first of 2005. Tony Stewart comes up shy in second place. And the top 5 does go to Casey Kane, your championship leader, who negates the damage to the 20 of Tony Stewart. He will finish in 5th. Jeff Gordon, a good result in 4th. And Kurt Busch, who led a lot of this race early, who will bring it home in 3rd. A race of storylines, and Ricky Hendrick, your winner here from Kentucky to boost that championship bid here at the midpoint of this season. What a strong run from him tonight to run away from the rest of the field, and the pit crew brought their A-game here tonight. Couple of some of the best pit stops we've seen this season to put him into the battle with not Greg Biffle, excuse me. That'd be Kurt Busch that he was fighting with in the early stages of this race. It was such a close battle between them. When they came out of the pits, he was nearly 2 seconds behind on that first pit cycle. Made up all that time in one pit stop and then left the field behind again on the second pit cycle. Put nearly 2 seconds between him and Tony Stewart, and it was more than enough to garner his first victory in over 3 seasons. And you got to be proud of the kid here tonight. What a win for him to get the monkey off the back for that team and focus their sights on what could potentially be a championship fighting run. Entered this race 4th in points, and they'll certainly make up some ground in the standings. Will be at least 3rd with Harvick's DNF today. That'll do it here from Kentucky. Ricky Hendrick, finally a winner here in the Coca-Cola Cup Series for the first time in what feels like forever. He's done it, and we will catch you next time. It'll be round number 16 of the season from Infineon for the Dodge Save Mart 350. I'm Caden Rife. We'll catch you then, and as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.